Yeah, sorry about that. I wasn't recording before, so I'll start again. So basically, what is responsive web design? That's just the act of building your website so that it will be accessible and it will look nice on any platform you are viewing it from, whether from your system, from your tablet, or from your mobile screen. So that's basically what it is. So for today, I'm sure some of you might avoid the videos. So we will try to be building this particular page. Please, can you guys see my screen? Can someone respond? Hello? Alright. So basically for today, we would want to build this, and this is what I mean by responsive web design. So we check this on your desktop screen. It looks something like this. We have our logo, our navigations, then we have the hero section, then we have this data section, and we have our footer. But as you keep decreasing it, little by little, it keeps adjusting. Now here we have an hamburger instead, and we still have the same page, and we have this. And if we keep reducing it again, it keeps changing according to how you are decreasing it. And see that the size of your text became shorter. Now all these are in a straight line, and we still have this like this, but if we keep decreasing, even the links will keep changing. So responsive web design is basically making your web page accessible on any device and making it look good on any device. So for example, let me show you an example. So we have this. So we just have a simple design here. We have a text and maybe an image. Keep that on our screen. This is what we would have. Text. Yeah, so we have this as our. So but as you can see, when we keep decreasing it, first thing we'll notice is that the image doesn't decrease. And if you check this will cause a large overflow on your page. So as you keep going, it doesn't increase or decrease. So this causes overflow on our pages. This is one of the reasons why we need to have a responsive design. But the text keeps decreasing. But you will notice that even on the mobile screen, if you have text this large, this will most likely not look nice on your mobile screen. So this is another one of the reasons why we have to have a responsive web design. So you can notice that with just few changes, this will become better. Now for instance, if I go to my image, our CSS file, and I have this, now the image should be decreasing as we are decreasing our page. And this is one of the reasons why it is better to be using percentages than using fixed width like pixels. For example, you might want this image to be a particular size on your desktop screen. Now let me show that. See, yeah. On your desktop screen, you might want this image to maybe have a width of 800 pixels. And if you check here, now the image, this is the width you want. But you would notice that as you are decreasing it, once the screen size gets to 800, the image doesn't decrease. Instead, it begins to overflow. So because of reasons like this, we need to have extra styles to make sure that the image looks nice even on the mobile screen. And now I'll just give you the layout of the responsiveness, the block layout. So we have that at media screen. Then for this, you will define a set of rules like your normal HTML. Maybe you have H1, have font size, then maybe 12 pixels or something. But note that when doing this, you would have to include a value which is the screen size you want to adjust it for. Now we can have max width or you can have min width. So what you use depends on whatever you are targeting. Now we have two types of development. We have one called the mobile first and we have one called the desktop first. So let's start with mobile first. So if you are going with a mobile first development, then you would need to use a then you need to use max width because of that means that you are starting from the highest value, then with time you are going back down to the lowest value. So for a desktop first development, you would be using max width property. But if you are to use the mobile first development, then you will be using the main width property instead. And to avoid confusion, in this area you can have media or you can use at media screen, both works. But generally it is advisable for you to use media screen. But in case you are wondering the difference, you can always go online and check for the difference. But that doesn't make any more difference. So let's go and let me show you the difference between using mobile first and desktop first development. So for instance, take this text. Let's give this a background color and some changes. And let's have a give here. So for now, we have the first with background color of maybe yellow. Come back to our page, we'll see this. Okay, and I didn't add something. Just a general styling for your pages. Alright. So we have that. Which one? Looks weird. Okay, so we have this. Let's just give this a margin. So it looks nicer. And let's generally give this a padding top and bottom. So for that, we'll have 40 pixels and 0. So I will still following along. So for this, what I will be changing would be the background color, and I will show you the difference between a mobile first development and a desktop first development. For so when entering a desktop first development, we will be using the max width property as I mentioned before. So we have at max width 768 pixels. Then it depends. So we can make now for the same first element, the background color would be red, and 768 is for tablet view. So if we start decreasing this, you will notice something. So when it gets to 768, the color changes. Now if you do like a different color also for your maybe your mobile view, so you can still have that. So we would have this. Sorry, please give me a minute. It's until now. It's until now 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock.
You're teaching someone now?
Yeah.
Okay, you're teaching someone.
People.
What school? Also?
Not school. This is just project. 19 people. So
Okay, the team leader. Abi?
I'm mentor.
Oh, nice.
So we have this for mobile first development. So as we keep decreasing our value here, and for the mobile screen is about 480 pixels. Here we can make the background blue. So you notice that as you keep decreasing it again, this will turn to blue. So this is for a mobile first development, or this for a desktop first development. But for a mobile first development, it goes the other way around. So you start from your mobile screen, then you keep changing your styles accordingly to fit for your desktop screen. So let's go back here. So if you do that instead, we would have this yellow color for our mobile device. As we keep increasing, we would have the same blue color for our tablet, and as we keep increasing, then we would have the we should have a red color. Okay. Okay, so sorry about that.
Hold on.
Because sometimes you see some oh 01, 02, 03. We have the blue. The red isn't showing up. I wonder why. Sorry for that. Like my own is A over 3F.
Okay, hold on a minute.
So from 768, it should change to blue. To red, sorry. So let's check that out. Okay. I can see that it's cancelled out here.
The screenshot and you're telling me the password. And after this, the one is okay. So where is my username? That username, I suspected that username because I even tried to do password reset, but they say the user doesn't exist. Okay.
Okay.
Password as professional. Can you mention
All
what's
right.
the username? That's another thing. Don't worry. We'll have to share screen. Okay, what should I say?
So we have
What's
that.
the user? Is a name.
So are we following?
That's the
All right. So now we're going to updating what I showed
do
you
you get
before.
AL? J I. It's not giving you anything. It's not. It says that username doesn't exist. Hold on a minute. Let me look for. Is my chat with Agnes that I'm looking at now? Okay. And I think even when Agnes was there, but she never got that I use for right? No, she was the one. She was the one that simply helped us to do that. She ever success. Sometimes she will call me to ask her MD to do it because her use one is not working. She will just run around get somebody with the same approval limit to make him to do it. So that's what Agnes was doing. There was a time we changed. She was able to. Okay. Because I know the last
So we
time,
have
the last time, the
this.
only secretary before she left, she had to call me if I can get MD, and MD fortunately was not in town. I think I remember that one. So I don't know whether that's that issue or something. Yeah, I was thinking maybe we can get the username correctly. We can do password reset and he checks it even and give us the password. As it is, I don't think the username is the right one.
I'm gonna call. So we continue with what we're coming from. So now I already have the background for this, what we'll be replicating. So this is the initial point where we're starting from. So you will notice as we keep decreasing, or as I was saying before, it still looks the same and it even starts getting overflow. So we would have this, and this won't be a good sign for our website if our website is looking like this on our mobile device. So we'll just quickly be adding some styles to change this. And for this, we are going with a mobile first approach. Sorry, a desktop first approach. That means we are already repeated our desktop design, then we'll be changing this to fit our mobile design. So from here we have this. So basically we will start with our header, and if I can see here, our header still looks nice until somewhere around 900, where it keeps getting close and it keeps getting close. So let's say we want to change it from around 900 to our mobile navigation that we have here. How do we do that? So basically we'll come back here to our initial, and like I said, we'll do the rule that is at media screen, and we have our mark switch property. So we're going with 900 or maybe 1000. So at this place, we don't want to see these navigations again. And if you come to our HTML code, the whole of the navigation is called a nav. So basically, I can just go and say our nav becomes display of none. So we won't see it again. So instead, what do we want to see? We want to see our input, and for this, our our hamburger menu. And so here I labeled it label. So for that, with the class of hamburger, I can just come back here and have the hamburger and add a display of block to it and to show. So while this, I've already displayed the styles for this before. So at the beginning, we have the hamburger to have a display of none from here. And so later on, when we need it, we just change it from display of none to a display of block. So we keep going on. What else can we notice? So from here, if we keep going on, you can see that this is okay. Though we still have the overflow, we would correct that one by one. So what is the next thing? The next thing is maybe we have to change this one, the text size as it changes. So let's come back here. So initially, and so we go back down to our hero section, and here I name it company section. At here we have a div named company, then we have an H3 of about company, and we have an H1 with text content of creative agency, and that is this and this. But as we keep going, as we keep decreasing, as you can see, at one point it starts to cover it. So our text is not changing with the decrease in size. So we want to correct that. So for that, we will just come to where we have it initially. I have to be careful of how you did it because that is the same way you have to name the same elements when you are doing your media query, because we have something called specificity in CSS, whereby if one is more specific than the other, then the styles won't be applied. So for this, we have this. So for the tablet device, you will just have to decrease the size of the text, and you can come here and change it to maybe 1.5 and change this to around maybe 5. And we don't really need the many properties, so we can just remove it. All we are just changing is the text property. So you can see that has reduced. So I think this looks a bit better. So let's go down also. So next we are back at this. So you notice that as you keep reducing this, you can see that it becomes more and more compact and it loses. I'm not disconnected. I didn't notice. I disconnected.
Alright, that's something. Connect to the internet and just have to
Yeah, better man.
disconnect. You apologize.
Yeah. Yeah, so sorry about that. My network went off. But we can continue now. So please, are you guys still following? Alright. So as I was saying, we would keep adjusting the styles until we have what we want. So as you can see, as this is going, it's getting smaller. Okay, so for here, how did we have it? Initially we have 4, but as we keep decreasing it, you can see that it changes to 2. So now that's what we want to try out. And also we can also change, we can see that as we keep decreasing the size of this text also changes. So we also have that. So I want to just come back to the next session, sorry, and check how we describe this. So we have this here, this is the HTML code, and this is the basic CSS we have for that. And so that is our about us section. So first of all, I guess this still looks good, so you can still leave this, but I would like to decrease the size of this. I feel it's too big. So we'll just come here to our about us H2 and come back here and paste it. And all we need to do is just to change this. Maybe we can have it a value of 2.5. And you notice here, from this we have this, which is quite better. But you will notice that if I should take this about us away and put only H2, this won't be affected. As you can see, it is not changing, the size is not changing. Why? Because initially in our HTML we have here about us then H2. This is what I meant by specificity. Now if you come here and look at it here, you will see selector specificity of 011. But if you come back here and you check this, we only have 001. So therefore, the styles you put in your media queries won't be able to override the initial styles. That is why I said that you have to be careful of how you named it and copy it exactly as you named it before for the changes to show. So back to this, we have H2. Want to increase the about us back, you will see that again it has changed again to the normal size we wanted it to be. So we come back here to this place, and how do we change that? So for this place I use flex, and there's a flex property that helps with natural responsiveness, and that property is called flex swap. So if you come here to initially, the parent container is called our service box. So if we should come here, so we have this. So we come back here and we paste this. So all we need to do to add for now is when we add the flex property, flex swap app. So this should change, and if it doesn't change, because of it keeps reducing, but oh, it changes. But you can set when it should change. So as you can see that as you keep decreasing it, it keeps changing. But if you notice, this one didn't change from 4 to 3 to 2. It changed from 4 to 2 directly. So it depends on how you set it. The reason why this doesn't change from 4 to 3 to 2 is because this particular container has a property, a width property. So this won't allow it to change. But this doesn't have that same width property of 300 pixels. If we check this, the width is 270, which is smaller. So it allows for it to get decompressed. And what do I mean? If we come back here and we try to change this for the services, we have this. If we change this from 270 to about 300 too, we shouldn't see it having 3 again. It goes directly to 2. But if you make it even smaller, maybe 200, it might take a while before it changes to 4, to 3, and then till 2. So it depends on how you set it. But as you can see, this doesn't look nice. Wait, can you hear me? Oh fuck. When did I when did I leave the class? Sorry, I guess that's network too. So please, can someone tell me when I lost connection, or when I lost connection? What was I discussing? Hello? Please, can you guys tell me when I lost connection so I know when to start from? So overflow of which one? Is it of this text or of these ones? Okay, sorry about that. So can you see my screen now? You should be able to see it. So is it overflow of this text or overflow of this component? This for Abi. Alright, thank you for that. So let me just start from here. So I was talking about this whereby we have from 4 and we have the actually to 2. And I mentioned that for this instead, it just keep reducing. So I mentioned that we have a property for flex that enables item to automatically shift when it has reached a certain minimum height, and that property is for flex. So and we call it flex swap. So yeah, I mentioned that for the parent container of the services, if we add this particular property flex swap or flex swap and give it the value of wrap from 4, it will change to, so from here we can see that it first changes to 3, then it changes to 2. But for this instead, we have from 4 directly to 2. Now why is that? It's because of I mentioned before that there is a particular minimum property that your page would reach before the item will be wrapped. And if we notice for this particular element, we have a width of 200, but for this one we have a width of 270 as shown here. That is why it can still contain 3 boxes on one line. But for instance, if we were to change that from the initial 270 that it was on to maybe around 300, we will see that it will no longer have that particular 3 on one row because of there isn't enough space for all of them to contain one row. But if there is something lower, maybe about 270 or 250, at one point we would have 3 on one row. So it just depends. So it is your minimum width that you set or the width that you set for the element that will determine when the particular page would wrap, and to keep wrapping and to keep reducing. So we keep going on, we would have this, and at one point we would have it all in one line. So we can see that. And so for the next thing, we have our footer. So our footer, so since our footer is basically flex, we can also add that flex swap to make it shrink by itself as time goes on. So for that, we would have the footer here. So we have the footer container where the items are flexed from, and we still have all of this in our 1000% mark width. So we just add the property of flex swap and give it the value of wrap, and so we have this. So as time goes on, it will keep shifting by itself till we have it on one line. But instead of doing this for flex, we also have another property that helps us with the automatic alignment. So if we will check our here, so for by default, each flex element has a property called flex direction, and automatically it is on row. That is why we have this. So it appears in the order at which you put it. But if we play with this property a bit and we bring it here, we can have a row reverse. So we can see that the arrangement changes. or we can set it to a column, and when it is on a column, everything appears on a straight line in the order of which it appears in the HTML page. So we have this. And again, if we change it, we can also have column reverse where the orders are changed. So this is our third one in the HTML, but it appears first in our footer. As you can see here, this one that appears first is the last, second is the second, and the third one becomes the first. That's when we have the reverse property. But when we have the normal property, everything appears in the order as which they were aligned in your code. So we have that. So for sometimes you might prefer to use this column property so that everything aligns at once instead of using the flex swap we have. So both works. The only difference that for column, everything appear on one line, but when you're using your flex swap, it keeps reducing until it gets to a minimum width, then it will keep reducing and reducing and reducing again. But we can notice that we still have this particular, and what causes it? From what I can see, it is this text. But as you can see, we won't want to reduce this particular text size to something small because this is your tablet screen, and for me this still looks nice on my tablet screen. So, and we wouldn't want to reduce it maybe to something around 1.5. When we are still on tablets, it's too small for tablets. So this is why we have multiple CSS rules whereby we come again and we have our at media screen, and we have the at max width property, since we are going with desktop first design. And for a phone we would have for about 480 pixels. So there we can now come here and reduce this particular maybe around 1.5, because as we keep reducing it. All right, we have this, but you can see there's also something else here because naturally your text should wrap, but this particular text is not wrapping. So let's try to find out why that is. So an overview of digital strategy. So we come back here about us and H2. Okay, so the reason was because of width. Made a mistake here. I made a mistake. So I set the width property to be a constant, so it doesn't change. And this is also one of the reasons that we have to have responsiveness. And it's not always good to use constant values for some things. So as you can see, since this width is constant, the size always remains the same, no matter where you are. But when you get to this particular screen size or 750 pixels, it won't shrink as the pages decline. So we have this and we would have this overflow. So how do we correct that? We can either use two things. We can use a width and instead use our percentage, maybe 50%. Instead we have this, but this looks too small. So maybe we can use about 80. So we have 80. So this looks better. Or instead of using width here, you can also use max width. But when using your max width property, it is advisable to also use it with. a percentage value, but using it with a fixed value would also make it easier for you to, so your screen size changes, the text swaps. So do we get that? Hello, are we still following? So that comes to the end of my presentation. I've shown you how we came from the beginning where we have this. So constantly we are changing it little by little. First we started with the home and we changed it from the navigation to show our hamburger, which naturally when we click on it should bring out our navigations. But that would require a bit of JavaScript and we're not teaching that. So we'll just be ignoring that for now. But if you want to know more, this is also possible with using only CSS. And for that, you can take that as an assignment and look at how you can make a hamburger menu using only CSS. And that is possible because if we check here, I use this and I use only CSS to do this. Inside this page, we have no JavaScript. And if you don't believe me, this is the original file. Or if you are suspicious, we have this as the original file. Responsiveness. So if you check this, there is no JavaScript code there. But if we open this, we should still see the same thing that we have there. It's loading. So let's try and check this and go live now. So I was saying, we still have this same file, and as you can see, this particular hamburger menu and animation works without JavaScript, using only CSS. So you can take that an assignment and just try to research how to make an hamburger menu work using only CSS without including JavaScript. So you would find some resources online, maybe a blog, or you can always watch a YouTube video for that and you can learn how to do that. But for now, we would ignore that. And I showed you how also you can change the value of this. And also just a trick for changing your text. So in case you have a particularly large database and you won't want to be changing the size of the text individually, there's a property that helps you when you use them, and you can get that from this particular one. So as you can see here, instead in our responsiveness, we're changing the font size property individually for each one. But when using Rem, there's a property that allows you to change. So yeah, we can have font size and we can have this in percentage. Let's say about 80%. So let's first check something. So if I remove this will go back to being big, even though even though this has changed, the sizes of this didn't change. But if I use this instead and I come here and I put this font size of 80%, you notice that this changed a little. If we come and we increase this value back to about maybe or decrease it to 50%, you can see it changes. So all the text in your page changes at once. And this is only possible because we used initial values. For our initial values, we use when. Now what does when mean? When just means relative. it means relative is the relative size or is the relative value for the font size, and this value is relative to the default or the root font size. So in your code, if you change the root font size, as you can see here, we change this from the original value, which is about 100%, and this 100% represents 16 pixels. We change it to 50%. Automatically, all the size here will be halved. So this is also a good way of handling your responsiveness. So instead of changing the values one by one, you can just set it at once and this will change. You have to be careful while using this because it affects your whole page. So you need to know how to structure your code and how to target your EM values so that you have exactly what you want at every page size. So did we get that? Hello, did we get that? Alright. And so coming back here also, I showed you how to use FlexSwap to manage this, and also I showed you how to use FlexSwap also, or using your flex visualization property to change this with time. So just to ask, I'm asking, is there any questions that you would like to me to answer before this class comes to an end? Hello, any questions? Oh, alright.